Hello and welcome to the Damp Show with me, Damp Sam, and him over there, Dry Gav.
Hello.
Today's episode, we're going to talk about 5 things I wish I'd have known when I started out doing my trades. Right. So number 1 is to do with plastering. So when I first started with my plastering, I did my first ever spare time job. I think I've spoke about it before. First ever spare time job, which was up at Montbretton. It was a friend of my mum's. She got a little patch that she wanted doing, and no plasterers had go. So
Too small.
yeah, it was too small. And one of the things that I'd have wished that I'd have known at the time, and it was one of the most stressful things is pricing. Is being able to price a job correctly, and you don't. When you first start, unless they've got somebody like me who will tell them, a lot of plasterers will not tell you prices because they don't want you to be lower than them or more competitive than them. But I had to kind of work it out myself. So now this is how you price. So you're either going to do it on a meterage, so it's going to be price per meter.
Yep.
Which nowadays you kind of won't do. You won't do. Or you do a price per day.
Why would you not do it by meterage?
I think when you're working for a big company, they price up on a meterage. So if there's like if it's new work and they're doing, I don't know, say 50 hours.
Yeah.
Then they can work from plans.
I can go 1, 1, 1, 1 for each one.
Yeah, they can work from plans, and because at meter squares at walls, they can get a quantity surveyor to find out how much materials they want, and then they'll have a price for there's some council rates, and I think everybody works off these council rates because I think they're quite leaked, and they have prices for absolutely everything. And if you can get a copy of them, I've got some somewhere, but I don't know how to read. All the Lee gave me it from Precision, and I can't get into the phone. I don't know how to read it. At a push, I could get it out and do it, and then you just add so much percent each year for
inflation
and things like that. So these are basic rates, and then you'd add your own profit margins on top. But when I first started, I kind of went to jobs, and you were caught between whether to do it per meter and I'm only 18, and I'm like getting my tape measure out, pretending as if I'm measuring it and looking at things and trying to be professional. You know what I mean?
Studying.
Yeah, and one of the things I did when I first started was telling them price there and then, which was just awkward as all.
Yeah.
Awkward as all. Never tell anybody price. Take your time. Tell them you'll text them or email them price once you've sat down and worked it out and everything. I mean, that were a learning curve. 18, 19-year-olds having to stand, staring grown men in eyes saying, it's going to be £60 for room, and I'll probably get it done in 2 days.
Is that how you used to speak as well?
That was me when I was 18 and 19.
Accurate.
Yeah, exactly the same that.
Yeah.
So and it's just awkward. It's just an awkward moment when you first start out at a job, and then you start out self-employed. Obviously, you get paid so much a day, and when you work for a company, if it's a big company, you'll get so much money. So and it'll be like, oh, we can pay you this, and it's normally a certain rate, isn't it? So it's normally just a certain rate. Anyway, so what tends to happen is that's like a cap. So when you start going pricing jobs up, mentally you've still got this cap. And it's like, if you are telling people this is going to be however many hundreds it is, and you think it's expensive, then you're gonna be wrestling with yourself, aren't you?
You're gonna be the one that's,
especially if you're a young kid, and then you're thinking they're going to be. I mean, if you've got no conscience, then fair enough. But they're going to be thinking I'm ripping them off, and then you're thinking, well, but I don't know prices of stuff. I mean, I still get people who do it for me, and and I'll say, how much do I owe you? And they'll say, is that all right? They'll tell me price. They'll say, is that all right, Sam? Which, you know what I mean? It shows that they're still.
I think
unsure.
I think a lot of people are like that, aren't they?
Yeah, and I forgot to turn.
So getting ring alarm, everybody's somebody at front door.
Yeah, but I've got 3 ring alarms
at
different properties.
All right,
so
wonderful.
Going off a bit. Let's just pretend it's a fairy, and every time that goes off,
it's a jingle.
There's money going into my bank account.
Okay.
I've won stuff and that. And it's good luck. So that's a good luck thing.
So number 1 is pricing up properly.
It's learning to price up properly, and quickly. It is just however you want much to charge per hour, or per half a day, or per day, and then you work out how many days it's going to take you. So that's quickest, simplest way to work a price out. And if your materials are going to be a bit more expensive, you can add your materials on top. So if you can work out how many materials. So this is for plasterers, and this is for if you're damp proofing. The other way is to work it out per meter, and you can. It's really it's an hard way to do it.
It's another tenner.
Yeah, it's another £100 gone in bank. So it's an hard way to do it. It can be done, and I have done it. And you have to work out all your thicknesses and how far skimming goes, how much a bag is, divide it by that, and divide it by something else, and then it's a nightmare. So most people nowadays are working on day work, so a day rate. Number 2, wearing the correct PPE and correct workwear.
Workwear.
I still can't read my own writing.
Yeah, getting even more broad. I don't think anyone ever even.
And this is only because as I've got older,
another £100.
As I've got older, when I first started, you wore your old clothes, and we've talked about this before.
Yep.
So whatever you used to go out in, you'd wear your old jeans, old trainers, your old socks. So imagine what they smelt like. Your old boxers, your old undies, everything were your older clothes. Yep. Your best stuff you had to go out in, and these were all your old stuff. So it just kind of got passed down. And you had your best stuff, so it were like that's my favourite work gear, and you never had loads.
Yep.
So basically,
so it would always last.
Yeah, you might
last
have
threads.
The same pair of jeans on all week. You might have the same pair of socks on all week, or whatever.
They'll be walking around on their own when they get back.
Not if, and this workwear weren't really a big thing. Over the last few years, over the last 20 odd years, I'd say 22. Workwear is massive now. So trousers with knee pads in.
Yep.
Well, like these kind of things, all these shops have sprung up doing printing and hoodies.
It's an industry, isn't it?
As a plasterer or a damp proof, you're on your feet all day.
Yeah.
It's not like sort of your job, which is got different issues where you sat down all the time.
Well, yeah.
And yours is like a lot of itises and stuff with your wrists and
itises.
I forget where I went, and it were a woman. It were she were on. It were at Tesco Express at Doncaster, and she got these great like things on her arms.
Oh yeah.
You know, like what doctors get her, because obviously she's on tills or whatever. And then she got other stuff on and that, and I thought that's all been supplied by Tesco's. You know what I mean? But and stuff for your eyes. You know,
goggles.
So number 3 is when I started my damp work, one of the things that I wish I'd done when I first started with my damp work, and that is, I wish I'd have hired a storage container from day one. That you can get a storage container for like £100 a month, and a big one, and basically you can drive up there, code for gate, go in. And all your stuff's in there, so you can have your plaster in there. You can have your tools in if you trust it. I mean, I've got one outside here with all tools in, but back then it was all my stuff were either on back at van.
Yep.
And it were a grind taking them in on an because I didn't have a garage.
Yeah.
If I had out that were without, I had to take it in house, which were a ball ache taking stuff in and out. I'd no way to store plaster.
Yeah.
I've got a pickup and water used to get in and stuff, so I couldn't really store loads of plaster. When I went to my mum's, I'd put it in garage. She hated me.
Yeah. Go
Powder everywhere and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And same with clothes full of plaster. I had to take them
Just
off in
walking
porch.
around. Yeah.
Powder everywhere. She hated me, and she had to wash them and all. So she hated that as well.
Washing machines will not lasted long either.
I know. So yeah, but it's just brilliant. And if if you're working on a site and somebody offers you to buy some stuff. So when a building site finishes, a lot of stuff can't be took to another site because it's to do with accounts and everything. So they either skip everything, so they smash everything up, or people just take stuff. They don't sell it; they'll just give all stuff away. So
they're quite light fingered and all. I think people on building sites.
But I'm on about when when sites coming to a close.
Yeah.
So all stuff that's left over, you could take that and store it if you've got like a container. Yeah. So basically storing worth the weight in gold. A real good investment. So that's storage containers.
Straight through, get a storage container.
This one is well. I'll go. I've gone out of order here, but this is priceless. This, and it's one thing that I didn't know when I was young.
Does it need a jingle because it's that good?
No, it's using SBR, which is a rubber-based mechanical fixing agent, rather than PVA on bathrooms and kitchens. And I never knew. So I think I've mentioned it before, but I never knew that when you PVA'd a bathroom or a kitchen, PVA can go back to its liquid form.
Right. And I think you found out, didn't you?
Yeah, but I only found out when I did these courses for DampProofing. There were a guy who he worked for a concrete company in South Africa, and what he didn't know about sort of cements and concretes and stuff like that, and mechanical fixing agents, all that kind of stuff. And one day on course, he just mentioned it. He says, never use PVA in a basement if you're doing stuff in a basement, like anywhere that's got high humidity. And we're like, why? He says, well, it goes back to its liquid form. He says, if you have to use SBR. And SBR gets mixed in with a lot of stuff now. What they call them, Sovereign. Years ago, you didn't have to put out in there render light. You just put it on wall. Now you have to mix it with SBR. Then you have to put a slurry on wall so that it bonds to each other. I for years I was skimming ceilings and stuff, and sometimes you'd go back and they'd phone you up and they'd say it's blown.
Yeah.
And I thought it was kind of my fault for either using PVA that had gone off.
Yeah.
Or well, I don't know, not scraping ceiling down.
Not keying it enough.
Yeah, so beating me son up thinking, you know what I mean? They're thinking I'm a rake cowboy. But basically what it was is they'd not got an extractor fan in bathroom or kitchen venting correctly, and all water vapour was just going straight up, getting trapped between Artex or whatever, old Artex, and then turning it back to liquid form, and then it just blows it slightly, and then it gets worse and worse and worse till they're phoning you up, and then you're going to have to do it again for free, which is a rate grind, having to go back and do a job. So if you're an up-and-coming plasterer, or if you're a plasterer that don't know this, use SBR as a mechanical fixing agent. So paint that on your walls before you do skimming, and not PVA. So number 5.
We're already on 5, yeah.
So number 5. This is last one, and it's pay for courses. So when I first started out, I've always had a thing where I have always invested in myself. So I paid for. Well, I got when I got let go, I got my plastering stuff through government because I was young. So I got my college fees paid for my plastering, but then obviously college lecturers wanted me to do my ONC and my HNC.
Yeah.
And they really kind of pushed me towards doing that. And my arse nearly fell out when I realized, when they told me that
how
I got
much
to
it was
pay.
going to cost.
Well, that I got to pay for it myself. I ended up getting, because I was on dole, I ended up getting some at costs, but I did have to pay for a bit myself. But that were like a big lesson to invest in myself.
Yes.
Even though I didn't use them qualifications for like another, must have been another 15, 20 years. They did come in handy eventually, but I was paying for things. So I paid for my ONC, I paid for my site certificate, City and Guilds. I paid for my NVQ level 2 myself, and then when I started DampProofing and doing my qualifications for my surveying, then that was more costs, but it's kind of been paid back.
I'm going to say it only becomes a cost. It only becomes a cost if you never recover it.
Biggest and best investment you can make is in yourself, and that's through knowledge. So on that bombshell, we're going to say thanks for listening, and listen for next week's one.
Okay, thanks for listening, everyone.
All right then.
We'll
see you later.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.